Welcome to the Convince Me podcast, where we are on a mission to convince you to step out of your entertainment comfort zone and try something new. So with that said, let's get to convincing. Welcome to our first episode of the anime edition, which is why my intro was a bit more pointed than normal, because this is our first time talking about anime in earnest on this show. It's going to be very interesting. So I'll quickly go into kind of a couple of reasons why we wanted to do an anime podcast. One, we love anime. I will talk a bit more about my history, but we've learned that there are a lot of anime that we have missed. Even though I've been watching anime since middle school, maybe high, I think middle, Darren, the same thing, and there's still a bunch that we've just never seen, and this is a great chance to capitalize on that. The other reason is that for the gaming show, we are, to be quite frank, we took a break from doing Game Pass games. Because just by principle of them having raised their prices, I know a lot of people canceled their subscription, and so one of the purposes of our gaming show is that it was designed to help people, be convinced to try something new that was accessible for something that a lot of people already had. And with us cutting out Game Pass for the time being, that severely limits what we can talk about, and so we figured, why not kill two birds, one stone, and give us a chance to really focus on the games that we're picking for the episode, since we're a bit more limited now, but also talk about anime, because I want to say only recently really gotten into anime, although I've been watching since middle school, but I guess that's a perfect segue into our history with anime. Since I've introed Darren, why don't you quickly spend some time talking about your history with anime, and then I'll talk a bit about mine. So, Darren, what past or history or experiences do you have with anime?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up in America, I feel like a lot of us had the same exposure to anime, so the story is probably pretty consistent with, many of you who potentially have watched anime over the years, but growing up in the age of Toonami on Cartoon Network really exposed you to a lot. So, I mean, Sailor Moon, the old Gundam series.
Pause 1 second, Darren. My thing's being weird. Give me one.
Yeah.
Right, I think you're good. Go ahead.
All right. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, exposed to the OG Sailor Moon, the Gundam series, Dragon Ball Z, of course, um, and then it expanded into Adult Swim when you got Yu Yu Hakusho and the original Rurouni Kenshin, and even some of the early morning cartoons that I used to watch, like before school or on Saturday mornings, with the original Pokemon, the original Yu-Gi-Oh, shows that people probably forgot, like Metabots. Metabots was absolutely incredible. So was the original Beyblade series. So I mean, all those shows really formed opinions, and at the time, I just kind of looked at them as other cartoons. I didn't really categorize anime as its own, I guess, genre of thing.
Sure.
And it wasn't really until, gosh, probably, I mean, really the big three were what brought me into anime, with a fourth on the side. So, I mean, it's no secret that I've seen every episode of One Piece. um, the original Naruto series, the original Bleach. But then at the same time, I was also watching the first Full Metal Alchemist series, and those four shows combined really made anime like a thing for me. And so I dabbled in some shows here and there throughout, but back in the day before Crunchyroll pretty much had a monopoly on anime viewership, I used to go to some old kind of bootleg websites where you had to watch anime episodes uploaded in three parts on your 20 megabit per second internet connection that was just horrific. So it would take 2 hours to watch maybe two episodes. But because of that, because of the whole experience, and because of the way the stories came into my life at the time that they came into my life, anime has really been a pretty constant thing for me, to the point where, I mean, I'll just go out onto my balcony and watch anime by myself just as kind of a way of unwinding after a long week.
Yeah. So mine is similar, but I think all in all mine is also a little different. So there are my history with anime is only slightly embarrassing, and Darren knows why. So there is a sort of expectation when you say I watch anime of things that you probably should have seen if you want to have a relevant opinion. There are some shows that I haven't that may make my opinion null and void to some people. And it has never been my opinion that these shows are bad or whatever, but I remember that a lot of the popular ones were airing on Toonami or Adult Swim or whatever. So, there are certain anime that when you say you watch anime that people assume that you've seen. And there are a few that I haven't. So, the one that I finished recently was Naruto a couple years ago. I'm like 15 to 20 episodes into Shippuden, which got put on pause because I'm going through the long journey of watching One Piece. I am on episode 860 something. I am about done with Whole Cake, and I have two big arcs left until the show picks back up because it's on hiatus. So never seen One Piece. So out of the big three that were happening on Toonami, I watched one of them. I only watched Bleach. And another show aired on Toonami. Adult Swim. Adult Swim. There's no way it would have aired on Toonami. But another show that aired on Cartoon Network was an anime by the name of Full Metal Alchemist. I've never seen Full Metal Alchemist. Now, when I say that, I've seen a couple of the episodes from it. And I don't honestly have a good reason why I haven't watched it, but part of it is because not until like a year ago, really, was I really sitting down watching anime. I watched Bleach and the shows that I did watch because they captured my interest, and for whatever reason, at that time, Full Metal Alchemist didn't stand out to me because I never honestly sat down and watched it. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it coincided with me going outside with my friends or what, I don't know. But I just never got around to watching Full Metal Alchemist or Brotherhood. I do have it in my head to watch 100%. And I will. It's just not something that I've sat down to do. Because right now, any free time I have is either watching currently airing anime, watching One Piece, or playing video games. Or when I'm not like being with my family. So like my time for me to do the things that I want to do is one of those things. And so I've also I am also only halfway through Attack on Titan. Although, Darren, you can't say a ton because you also didn't watch that when it was airing. You caught up to it late. But it's one of those things where Attack on Titan was so good, like the half part that I got through, but there's an executive functioning thing there, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but there are a lot of anime I want to watch, and this show does give us a chance to do that. Another show I used that, and I talked to Darren about it. I remember that. Was D Gray Man. I don't remember squat about D Gray Man. I just remember really liking it. Um, but there is something about like the streamification of watching anime that does make it easier to watch. There was something about going to those other sites and like it worked, but I don't know.
Sometimes.
So
A lot of the time, the next episode would, like, the links would be broken. So you had to go find another website and hope that the episodes lined up correctly, because a lot of the time episode numbering was, you wouldn't think it would be arbitrary, but they found ways to make it arbitrary. Because,
yeah,
like, sometimes some websites counted an episode as either a filler or an OVA, others didn't. And so it just, it made it it made it awful to try to watch anything.
but I dedicated myself to doing it. But then I was just like, all right, bump it. I'm kind of getting into anime. Let me just do this. It made it so much easier. And I remember, and I can recall the exact moment that got me hooked on like, oh, this is a medium I could really enjoy and get down with. And there's the obvious ones, right? Like Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time. Dope, right? Great moment. Memorable moment. Bleach or Ichigo going hollow for the first time. Like all those moments, super cool, right? I will never forget the Hueco Mundo fight between Bleach and Ukiura.
Between Bleach?
Ichigo, sorry. Bleachigo. Between
Mm,
Ichigo and Ukiura. Such a good
you
moment.
sound like a parent talking about anime. Is that Bleach?
Is that Bleach fighting right now? No, so
Oh no.
the moment that made me go, okay, take a step back. My favorite parts of anime, for me, are the moments of catharsis. And for me, those moments are like the crisis points. The hero is about to lose something, things are dire, and then the hero finds a way to push through their barriers, break through, and come out on top. That's just for me. And the moment that was one of the most cathartic, other than a bunch of moments from My Hero, to be fair, but long before My Hero existed, was Goku going Super Saiyan 3 for the first time. And oh my goodness. That moment will stick with me as long as I draw breath. Because what Sean, it's either Schemmel or Schemmel, I don't know the actual pronunciation, but what Goku's voice actor did with that scene is so impressive mechanically, story wise, the music hit right. It was so good, and that was the moment, true moment, where I was like, all right, yeah, I can watch this. I can get into this medium.
Not to mention the music
So
of that
good.
moment in particular, of other than theme songs, the music that played during that scene is probably the only Dragon Ball series song I could ever pick out of a lineup.
That's fair.
Like, I again,
I
other than
remember,
theme songs, that's all I
yeah,
got.
the ending, like when the narrator would come on, and there was that just very chill, almost jazzy, synthy song that would play when you knew the announcer or narrator was about to start speaking.
Mm,
I remember that as well. But I'm
sure.
curious, Darren, what was your oh, I'm into this moment?
I've got so many. It's so hard because, like, modern moments. Obviously, there's a ton from My Hero.
So many.
One Piece episode 1000. To those of you who know, know.
I'm getting close.
Um, yeah, kind of. Yeah, long, long bit. to go, and it
I've
probably won't affect you the way that it affected the rest of us because of the timeliness of it. But even still, it's still a moment. But I mean, as a young kid, I probably so I mean Ash winning the tournament on the Orange Islands right after, he got smoked in the Indigo League was so great for me, especially because I mean he had a Lapras, and at the time Lapras is still honestly one of my favorite Pokemon. So him having a Lapras then it was so excellent. Um, there's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh related moments where you get those, oh, there's no way that it works out this way, but of course it works out this way. Heart of the cards, baby. Shadow Realm and all that. Um, but I mean, I really think if I have to pick a singular moment where anime really kind of, I guess, took over for my life and made it like a thing that I was gonna watch forever. Um, it was probably, and it's not really a moment. It was more of an arc, I guess. But the Dark Tournament arc of Yu Yu Hakusho.
mm, my favorite character in that show is and
EA, of
always
course.
will be
Well,
Hiei.
of course.
That was my
Absolutely. I
first
mean,
exposure to like a transforming character, like that
well,
archetype of
Kurama could too.
well
Kurama
he
could too. Kurama's
the
transformation was so much better, but
a
neither here
demon
nor there.
swordsman is hard to beat.
Um, uh, White Fox deity is pretty good. White Fox demon, I guess, more technically. But honestly, right up there with that, and I have to mention this for the sake of mentioning it, because I feel like you'd be surprised if I didn't mention this at least once,
Mm,
was there were so many moments in the show that I will stand on a hill surrounded by enemies and defend until the day I die is, of course, Prince of Tennis.
okay. Is there a specific moment in
Uh,
that show?
there's many, many moments in that show. That show is honestly a series of moments
Hmm. Okay.
where Echizen Ryoma is the main character, who's just like this pompous little. They call him a freshman, but I think he's technically a seventh grader because he's in middle school, and I believe middle school in this setting is 7, 8, 9. So I think he's a seventh grader, but obviously he's the Prince of Tennis. He's crazy talented, and just him surpassing his limits and doing stuff that like he has no business doing that you'd never expect him to do. The signature shots in that show seem so plausible that you'd think with certain anime it seems so over the top and crazy and ridiculous, but like the names that they give some of the shots in the show are absolutely ridiculous, but they're actual things that people can do. Maybe
That
not to the
matters.
extent that they're done, but like it makes it so believable. But it's just that little bit extra that just at the time, when I was an athlete, it really tickled the competitive part of my brain to always root for somebody who's going to win, even though he didn't always win. And so like those two probably were the big ones for me.
Nice.
And then we circle all the way back to, and then we throw in the theme songs from Bleach and Naruto and Full Metal Alchemist, and the theme song music really kind of occupied free space in my head and
Okay.
still live rent free.
You mentioned theme songs, and the one thing I will say, I I'm not through Naruto Shippuden. I got through
Hmm.
Naruto. I
Hmm.
I don't know how much of this is like nostalgia or being a kid and whatever, but none of the Naruto ones stood out to me. I know Bluebird. I know Bluebird from
Hmm.
Shippuden. I haven't finished Shippuden, so I haven't gotten there. But I don't know what it is, but I feel like Bleach had so many consistent bangers for openings. And
It did. Um, but I will say of that era. to me at least, and this is so subjective, the best anime theme songs of that time were Full Metal Alchemist. Because a lot of the things that my mind attributed to being, Naruto or Bleach theme songs were actually Full Metal Alchemist theme songs,
Okay. Okay. Maybe we
with the
can go
exception
through
of like,
some of them.
Bluebird and other relevant Bleach ones that, of course, we can talk about.
Okay, so yeah, no, I'd never seen that up to that point in Shippuden, but man, I will absolutely blast Bluebird. So we've talked about the past. We
Hmm.
talked about
Hmm.
our history. Let's spend a second looking forward to what is on the way. So we just finished the fall season of anime.
Hmm.
Um, for Darren and I, that is the conclusion of Gachi Yakuda. Um,
Hmm.
the banished court magician.
Hmm.
The my status as an assassin.
Togenanki.
My status as an
Togenanki.
assassin exceeds the heroes.
Yeah,
Togenanki. My hero, which, dude,
sure.
dude.
Sure.
um,
Not
and
One Piece.
yeah, that's true. One Piece going to what it's going to is pretty.
Season one is finally ending. I keep telling people they just need to get through the first season of One Piece. If you don't like it by the end of the first season, I can't help you.
At least watch through the first season, then you'll be fine. You'll absolutely be hooked.
Yeah, I mean it's what? It's only 1150 episodes. It's fine.
So then that means season 2 and 3 are gonna be what? So
It probably is just season two. But
the anime that stand out to Darren and I, because we, based on the anime that we've talked about so far, we like a certain kind of anime. And so the anime that are on the way that stand out to us is obviously the finale of Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. We have Hell's Paradise coming out in January, season 2. Black Clover's coming back, which we were never sure that was going to happen. Um, and I don't know about you, Darren, but I feel like Black Clover is such a sleeper hit that I feel like almost isn't talked about enough.
I agree, and I think it's because it debuted as an anime in 2017. And I remember that because it was right before I took one of my parts of my board exams.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember you being like, "Yo, there's the show you should watch, Black Clover," and I was like, "I mean,
yeah,
I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it."
but
And
if we think about everything else that was like around then too, I mean, I feel like it was easy for it to kind of fall by the wayside.
that's fair, especially because the first few episodes, many episodes, the main character is so annoying because
Yeah.
he's trying the. I don't know if it's the voice actor or the character or what. It almost feels like it's trying to emulate a version of Natsu from Fairy Tail or Naruto, or like it's trying to emulate the bombastic, over the top, loud, confident protagonist that a lot of
Mhm.
animes have. But the voice actor's yelling was so grating. And then I don't know when, don't know why, it just wasn't anymore. And I don't know when
Mhm.
that change actually happened. But that's happening. Jujutsu Kaisen is starting in January. The Culling Arc, I believe, is the name of it. Frieren, which is
Mhm.
an anime that I have yet to watch. I know. My Hero Vigilantes is coming back in January. Sentenced to be a Hero. This is a new show. Don't know really anything about it, but we'll get there. Um, a random new episode of My Hero is coming in May, which I don't. Which we know
Might
it's
not be
gonna.
so random.
It's we know it's about the time jump, the 8 years of what the heroes have been doing and everything. Another show that I don't frequently see talked about is
Mhm.
Wisteria. Of the what is the
Wisteria
actual?
Wand and Sword, I
That's
believe.
it. Wisteria Wand and Sword, which was an anime that took Darren and I by surprise.
Hmm.
Was not sure what to expect, but that's coming back, which is exciting. And then this one, will I don't know how people feel about this one, but season 2 or core 2 of the beginning after the end, which is a show that would
We'll call it
be
beleaguered.
it would
Beleaguered
be
is a term for it.
it would be so well received if the animation was, you know?
Yeah, like think for those who, have watched, think all the joy that you just felt watching season 3 of One Punch Man and just move it laterally.
To a show that you haven't seen before. Like One Punch Man before season 3 has been established with 2 decent seasons. I think well liked seasons as far as I know. And then the third one was just a kick in the teeth. And then this show, it's its first season. This is its first impression, and its first impression was less than good. So I wonder if they reworked Core 2 or if they were just like, we already did 2 cores, so it is what it is. So I don't know. I don't know. But aside
Yeah.
from that, Darren, which one are you most excited about?
I mean it's definitely Black Clover. I love that show. I've in the time that it's taken for it to come back, I've rewatched the whole thing now twice. Um
You've
I
rewatched
just
twice?
I have I
Dang.
I really appreciate the character development, the character building, and I
It
know
does have that.
just from a it does. And I know from a friend of mine who asked if I wanted spoilers, of course, but I know some of the stuff that's coming, and I am so excited to see how well it gets animated because I think that the animation quality of Black Clover is again just another reason why it's so slept on because the animation for some of that stuff was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see where they go, where they take it, to see the places where they put the budget.
Yeah.
Because I
And
mean, I feel like the bar lately has been set so astronomically high for those big action moments as far as animation quality is concerned that like
you speak
you don't want to fall
of
behind.
placing your budget, and this is a tangent, but whatever, you know. There is a show that I think did an incredibly good job with allocating its budget to certain things, and it was one of the shows that we watched this past season, and it's Banished. Is it Banished as the Court Magician?
The Banished Court Magician.
Well, while you look up the
Hmm.
actual title, because I think people should watch the show. The
The
there are
Banished Court
certain
Magician aims to become the strongest.
there are certain shots in that show where it's like it felt mid-ish tier, I'd say, and then there are certain scenes, action scenes, where it's like, oh, that's where a lot of the budget went, was for some of these action scenes. Granted, I have no idea how allocating budgets for anime works. I just assume that's how it works. And if that's the case, they did a really good job with it. Maybe that's not how it works. I don't know. But I feel like the scenes that needed to look really good in that show, they looked really good. So that's just me, but I think for me, as far as most excited, is Bleach. Because My Hero's ending mattered to me because it was a very important show to me that I got to see to fruition.
Hmm.
Because like I watched Dragon Ball Z to the end as a kid. I watched Bleach to the end as a kid, the original. And because I watched anime through Toonami, I didn't get to see a lot of the anime that I grew up with to fruition until way later.
Hmm.
Bleach is one that I watched all the way through as a teenager or whatever, and now, however many years later, I'm getting to see the true ending because we were left after the original Bleach ended. I remember you telling me like, this isn't it. There's supposed to be more, and me just sitting there being like, well,
Hmm.
how am I going to see that? I don't read manga because I like seeing the anime and being surprised when I watched the anime. But Bleach was one
Hmm.
of those ones where you were like, yeah, no, their manga has way more, and you told me some of the cool stuff that happened in it, and I was like, I wish I could see that. And now I get to see that, and I get to truly finish an anime from when I was a kid and get to see it now as an adult. And that's just a cool thing for me to get to see. And that's why that's what I'm most excited for. I'm excited for all
Hmm.
the ones we listed, pending. Um, depending on how some of these turn out, beginning after the end. But we will we'll see how they go. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of anime stuff up until this point, and now it is time to get to the bread and butter of what we are here to do. We are going to move on to the convincing segment. So I'll start with mine. Darren, would you say that you were a big fan of Rurouni Kenshin growing up?
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty good show, right?
yeah.
What would you say if you took the I don't think it's the exact same time period, but you took a similar time period. You took some of the historic accuracy that the show implements, and you did that again with really, really, really good animation. And that leads me to the anime of the week for me, the Elusive Samurai, right here. The title is right here, cover right here. And the Elusive Samurai is an anime that is by Cloverworks. Cloverworks is known for working on Spy Family. They are known for working on Windbreaker, Fairy Tail Season 9, and The Promised Neverland. Are just a few of the anime that they've worked on. And another thing I did was to see more like this, just so I could have some anime so you could compare it to them. And then when you go on Crunchyroll to the more like this section, the anime that show up are Clevatess, Windbreaker, Brilliant Healers, New Life in the Shadows, and Kaiju number 8.
I think I've never seen any of those.
So bringing up those with this should strike something in you. So the Elusive Samurai is exactly what it sounds like. It's about somebody named Lord Tokiyuki, who is our main character, and he is a future lord who tends to run away and shirk his duties and responsibilities. And he is Olympic level at it. And the show shows that in the beginning, where
Hmm.
his retainers and the people that work for his family come up to him and like, hey, we got to do school, we got to do this, we got to do that, and he just ghosts them. And it is wonderfully animated sequences that show this. And eventually, he learns the hardest way possible that you can't always run from your problems.
Watch me.
Now, before I talk a bit more about it, the thing that stood out to me is that they use real life people in this show. People that actually existed in
Mm.
1300s Japan. And it was interesting because I looked up. Like, I was curious, and there's a narrator who randomly chimes in sometimes and talks about, like, the person that's mentioned, and they talk about what that person did very vaguely. And I was like, oh, there's no way. So I look him up, and, like, it is historical people that really existed, but with a fantastic twist to them. So one of the examples is a guy who had really, really good eyesight, like crazy good eyesight, and the show shows that by having him have these really huge, big, gigantic bug eyes, like huge eyes, and he's incredibly accurate with a bow and arrow because he's really, really good at perception and awareness. But it exaggerates that to a fantastic degree. But they basically talk about him because, like, that was kind of his thing, was he was very perceptive. And so it uses fantastic elements to encroach on real topics, real historical topics, which is really cool. And so after he learns that you can't always run from everything, he meets a shaman who tells him that there is a possibility that he is to be a hero. I was like, okay, that's pretty dope. I think I'm in. And eventually he stumbles upon somebody that he has to face off against. And because he's a child, he has no strength. He can't brute force his way through anything. He's never practiced swordsmanship because he always shirked and ran from his responsibilities. So in his mind, he's like, I'm never going to have to use this stuff. But he never practiced because of this. And so he can't brute force his way through his problems. So he learns that through an encounter, an incredibly well animated encounter with somebody, that maybe, just maybe, his desire and ability to be elusive, maybe it's a superpower. Maybe he can use that to his advantage to get one up over on other people. And so the show takes off from there, and his goal is to basically meet people who will... I'm trying to think of how to word it, because I don't want to spoil anything, because I absolutely think it's worth watching. It's only 12 episodes. Quick watch, really easy. But people who will help him on his journey to realizing his full potential. He meets two other swordsmen who are similar age to him, but they've been practicing sword skills for most of their life, so they help teach him that. He meets another character that is going to 100% inspire a character in our campaign, for the Sky campaign that we're going to do, named Fubuki. And this character is so cool. And I don't know that I can truly overstate the animation in the show, because it's... You know how when you're watching anime, a lot of the time, there will be like an allegorical scene happening. Like there's a character who is meeting a character that's going to betray them, and then the anime will switch to a scene of like a spider with a bug in its web, and it'll like every now and then it'll go back and forth to show you like, oh, this is an allegory for what's happened to that character. Like it does stuff like that, but it is like turned up to 1,000. It's some of the trippiest, cool looking animation that you will see. And another thing the show doesn't do is shy away from the realism of fighting with swords. Because in 1300s, people were fighting with swords. And if you fight with a sword and you get hit by said sword, well, won't go that well for you. And so the show shows that. It does not shy away from blood. So if you're somebody that has an issue with animated blood or gore or whatever, this show has that. And something that stood out to me, that when you watch some anime, like violent anime, it's not something that I feel like is touched on super often. Granted, it's only been like a year that I've like really been watching anime, like diving deep. But the main character takes somebody out. And when you watch like violent anime, a character may do that and then they'll go on about their day. But this show took a second, and the main character like reacted to harming another person in the way that most people would react to harming another person. Like your adrenaline is spiking, you're going crazy, you're vomiting. It touched on that. It didn't go too crazy on it, but like
Sure.
it was clearly like, oh, this is his first moment of violence. Like he's reacting that way, which I think is interesting. The psychological aspect of like, I haven't done anything violent in my life, and then all of a sudden I have to defend myself. Like even if I'm right in defending myself, I still just I still just killed somebody.
Sure.
So that is the general idea of the show. It's the music is very very pleasant. It's time appropriate. It it fits the mood. There isn't really a bad episode, because the episodes that don't have action, it's building to the next action in an interesting way. Because another thing the show does, which I think is really cool, is it talks about real tactics that were used at that time.
Mm.
Like it gives you certain maneuvers and positionings and strategies that real generals used during that time period to win wars, and tells you why they worked, which is super cool to see. It's really interesting to get that historic um, that historic truth put in there. Um, yeah, I highly recommend. I would go in and with whatever expectations you have, and I think they'll be met. It's a quick watch, 12 episodes. There isn't really uh, slowness to it. There's good character building in the 12 episodes, as much as you can build in 12 episodes, really.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, any questions about the show?
At any point, did you feel like it was too pretentious as far as its like attempts at being historically accurate?
That's a good question. I don't think so. Um, it pretty much was just like, this person did this at this time. This group of people were this at this time, and then they became this. It's not pretentious. It's just like, hey, this is a fact, and it fleshed out the world a bit more. So you know how you were talking about Prince of Tennis, and you said that the moves were fantastical, but they were doable. They were realistic. The
Most of
show
them.
this show has a bit of that element too. Like, yeah, dude with big fat bug eyes probably didn't exist at that time, but it gets the idea across. It feels like, oh, that tells me that this guy was perceptive. He was a sniper. He was whatever. They use it to get that across, and it never comes across as insisting on itself.
So you never felt like you were taking a break from watching an anime to get a history lesson?
It was very quick snippets. It was not long. It's
Okay,
not like it was like full episodes dedicated to it or anything.
sure.
Like if it was like 10 to maybe 20 seconds of like, this is this group of people, this is what they did, this is what they were known for. All right, moving on.
All right. I mean, yeah, it sounds interesting. It kind of sounds tropey. It doesn't sound. It sounds like a more, I guess, historically accurate and intentionally historically accurate version of like Gintama,
Okay.
which I'm sure you've seen none of. So that
I've
only
seen
means so
the
much,
thumbnail. Have you watched it?
right? Not the whole thing, but I watched
Mm,
like 80 to 100 episodes back in the day,
nice.
which
So
is
yeah,
nowhere
I
near the whole thing.
sure, but it season 2 is confirmed. July. That is another
Mm.
July 2026 anime that will be coming. So between now and then, you could watch it, and you'd be ready for season 2. So I absolutely think it's worth it. The most standout part of it is the animation. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm always a sucker for anything of samurai focus.
Mm-hmm.
That'll always be the case, no matter how much time goes past.
Yep.
So I'll definitely give it a look. I
Sweet.
don't see why not.
All right. You have been talking about your anime for a
It's been a
while.
long time.
For
It's
a
been a long
while.
time.
So
Yeah.
Darren, enrapture me.
All right. So I let's give a little preface. I will sometimes on YouTube watch, moments where animators blew all of their budget in like one moment or something like that.
Yeah.
And I've watched more than my fair share of those from like sound design, animation design. It's the reason why the Fate series interests me is videos
Oh
like
yeah.
this.
Oh yeah.
And one of the shows that got a mention in one of these videos is what I have chosen, which is the all devouring whale Homecoming. And the all devouring whale is actually it's a donghua, and this is the first show I have ever watched. Apparently, there is a Japanese dub, but I watched this entire show in Mandarin with just English subtitles. It was developed by. I
Was
want to
it
make
Billy
sure I
Billy?
get this right. So the animation studio is Big Firebird Cultural is the name of the studio. However, yes, Billy Billy did do the producing of the show, which of course to be Hero X. Um, and I would say just at a very superficial surface level, this show is somewhere along the lines of a combination of Pokemon and Digimon with stakes. And that will make more sense later. Uh, but the show follows initially, and I really want to, you know, say it right, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can truly pronounce names in Mandarin. So, um, the main character, Fan Ling Zhao, is the head of, I believe it's called a, oh gosh. It's basically like a dojo, but not a dojo. I forget what the word they use is for
Oh.
it. Um, and he's cultivated this group from being completely irrelevant all the way to basically being promoted to the top tier of all of these groups. And he specifically has cultivated a catfish spirit all the way through its various forms and evolutions and whatever to become this like gigantic whale. And the way that the promotion goes is his group is basically he is battling against the leader of the other top tier group. And so it's basically like a Pokemon battle. And this animation just off rip of this gigantic whale versus whatever fire thing the other guy sent out. It's been a while since I've watched it at this point, but the animation quality just off rip was so ridiculous, and I loved it.
That's good.
Like this particular fight sequence right off the beginning in the very first part of the very first episode is probably one of my best moments of animation in the year 2025, just of things that I watched. um
It tops My Hero and To Be Hero.
it's in the conversation.
Oh, that's saying a lot.
It's better than My Hero this year. To Be Hero remains to be seen. Parts of One Piece remains to be seen. But yeah, 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 yeah. And I say that with a full chest. Um,
Wow.
full chest. Something goes wrong in this battle, and his whale spirit turns around and eats him, kills him outright. And it flashes ahead, and you watch the fallout of this and the. I kind of really want to try to find what it's called. The sect. That's it. So his sect, you watch it basically fall apart, It gets demotion after demotion after demotion to basically becoming like the most minor of minor sects, all the way from the top perch where it was. And all of a sudden, you see like this first person perspective, and the what you believe is the main character wakes up, but he's like dying of thirst or whatever. He's just kind of laying in a marshy field, and he goes and finds some water, looks at his reflection, and his face is no longer his own. So he's basically been reincarnated into somebody else's body.
Same world or new
And
world?
they're same world, only about I believe a 2 year time difference.
So not an isekai per se.
Nope, nope, not at all.
Okay.
Um, and so this show, which again currently 12 episodes, um, the season is all about him trying to reunite with his sect members, kind of fill in for who he used to be without blowing his cover that he is who he is, that he was the master of the sect, because he believes that he was betrayed by somebody who found a way to turn his whale against him, and if he reveals who he is, then he blows his cover, and that all falls apart. The show had phenomenal music. Like I can't really explain it well, but I would say if you could think in your head what like stereotypical anime music was with Chinese cultural sounds, and that's basically where we're at. The art style was like a pretty classic anime. However, there were moments where it very clearly looked almost watercolor,
Oh,
which was fantastic, but it was
I
still
like that.
pretty just well modern animated. And it felt very familiar because of the similarities that you could draw to, the Pokemon and the Digimon and everything else. It's just there were stakes because like your spirit packed beast that you have can just be absolutely killed outright.
Yeah.
And so then you have to try to get new ones. So the way that the Pokemon manga works, where Pokemon could be cut in half by attacks, yeah, that's just a thing. So you spend all this time building a bond with and cultivating the spirit just to have it cut in half.
I like that.
And so this show gave us this wonderful mix of world building and tense action moments and character development and just absolute like heartbreaking moments that very much affected me emotionally. I don't want to explain it because that is something that just needs to be felt by
Mm,
everyone who watches it.
sure.
Um, but I can't even tell you the parallel that I would make to it because that makes it too obvious about the kind of thing that happens. But it's just it's very well done. Now, what I will say, only knock I'll give it, and maybe it is because of perhaps not great translations between Mandarin and English, and the fact that I was watching it on YouTube. I don't know if the sub itself was done by Bitty Bitty or if it was done by a third party affiliate with YouTube who was doing the sub for the YouTube videos that were uploaded. But the videos were uploaded directly by Billy Bitty, so
B2B.
I'll take it as it is. But
Yep.
because of all of that, the story itself felt almost rushed in those 12 episodes.
Mm,
Like we go from here to here very quickly. Now, maybe that was intentional. Maybe I missed things of it. I'm not sure. But that's probably the only knock I'd give it is the story itself doesn't feel very cohesive moment to moment. That being said, you're very much building towards where the season ends.
oh my god.
And I, for one, am very excited for future seasons. I hope I can find the Japanese dub of it, just because it's a more familiar language for me to listen to.
Sure.
That being said, watching it in Mandarin honestly was kind of cool. Hearing a Mandarin theme opening and closing was great. The closing theme is phenomenal. It's so much fun. Think
Okay.
like Gunone levels of fun. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So good. And honestly, this and To Be Hero to me have really put on notice quality of animated show that
Yeah,
China is putting out.
sure.
There's some others that I really want to watch. One of which I can't remember what it's called. It's got Cube in the name, um,
Isn't
and I
it's
think there's
just
a
called
couple others. I
cute?
think no, um, and then I
Super cute.
believe Lord of that's the one. So that's one
Yeah,
I want to watch desperately. I believe Lord of Mysteries is also a donghua, so that is something that I need to watch
I
at
watched the
some
first
point.
two episodes and then
Um,
I got so tired because I was watching them late and they're like 40-minute episodes and I was like,
sure, but I mean, I think that China is really starting to put out some bangers,
yeah, no, for
and I
sure.
think it's gonna be great for the industry.
Yeah, no, and challenge invites improvement. Like just it's gonna like you can't get stagnant and it yeah I'm all for Japan being challenged on the animation front for sure 100%.
I think it's coming. I mean, China is from the quality of production. I mean, China's right there with some of the best moments of animation for the year. Like I said,
Yeah.
um, I'm all once they start keeping up with the original stories and the productions. I think that's when we'll really start to see some interesting things come. But all the
Sure.
same, this is absolutely a show worth watching. The first episode is I want to say a double, but every other episode is your classic 23-24 minutes.
Nice. I'm into that. Is there was there any downtime? Like when I say downtime, when I think of downtime in an anime, I think of moments that make me go, okay, let's get going, let's wrap it up, because I'm okay with downtime where it's well written, well paced, and interesting, and characters develop. Like that's
I mean,
fun.
I'm gonna say not downtime per se, but you do feel like each thing that happens gets its moment to resolve.
Oh, sweet,
But
that's
then
nice.
by the next episode, new things are happening.
Um, and your biggest
So
gripe
it's
is
it's it's. I think
the
it has taken a weird middle ground between being something truly episodic and trying to tell a continuous like one season story.
did
Like
it
you remember
feel
back in the day, OG Pokemon, every episode felt separate from each other, but you knew that when it was a gym episode, it was a gym episode.
do you feel like the show left itself available to go to different places?
Oh, it has to.
Okay.
It's going to have to just because the world that they're involved in is so vast. Like it already took them to a different place to do the last few episodes that they had to do.
Okay. Um, and before we wrap up, is there any reason that you chose this one? Like, because you say you watch videos of like
Mhm.
get ideas to shows to watch. Why
Mhm.
did you choose this one over any others?
It just seemed the most different.
Okay.
It's first of all the fact that it is a donghua already stands out. When you've watched as much anime as I have, it's hard to find anything that really feels original. Not that this felt all that original, considering I compared it to, two existing IPs. But um, I don't know. There was just something about it. The animation itself was obviously a big draw for me because I'm a sucker for a well animated fight scene. But
Yeah,
um,
we've been tricked by that before.
sure. But I felt it was one of those things where I saw it, I read the little synopsis, and I said, yeah, all right, why not? And it was a good decision.
All right, I'm in. Son of a gun, I'm in. In 12 episodes, this man, that's just such a sweet spot, such a sweet spot.
I don't know when or even if a second season's been announced yet. I'm sure it has, but I don't even know if there's a source material.
Oh, okay.
Let
Oh,
me
jeez,
see.
I'm falling.
No official announcement for season 2 yet.
Okay, well, let's hope that it. When did it release? Was it like late this year, or mid this year, or early this year?
So the Japanese dub released in like June, July. I actually think this came out in February of this year.
Okay, so then
So I want to say
okay,
this is pretty new.
nice. All right. Well, audience, I hope anybody who's listening, I hope you were convinced by either of our pitches. And next time we meet, we will be watching two new anime. I will be watching The Witch and the Beast, which is by Yokohama Animation Laboratory, which the only anime that they've animated that I've seen is The New Gate. Darren,
Mhm.
what is your anime?
So I will be watching Mushoku Tensei, a new season of which is getting ready to come out soon. It was produced, I believe, by Media Factory, also responsible for Overlord, Soul Eater, and all of the Pokemon movies.
All of them.
All of them.
Wow. Fair enough. So, with that said, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen um, to our talks. We hope that you got something out of it. We hope you found a new fun series to watch, and join us in watching. And follow us on our social media, all at the bottom. Convince Me Media, Convince Me Gaming. Either one will hopefully bring us up. And with that said, thank you for watching episode 1. And Darren,
Are you convinced yet?